Hi and welcome back to our YouTube channel. Today I will be talking about the origin of cells, and this is topic 1.5 of the IB Biology syllabus. So, from what we've learned, the cell theory states that cells can only come from the division of pre-existing cells. However, at the very beginning, cells must have come from non-living matter, and this is known as spontaneous generation, which is the formation of living organisms from non-living matter. And we will be looking at the theory which states how these cells arise from non-living matter. So in order for spontaneous life to occur, the following processes would need to happen. The non-living synthesis of simple organic molecules from inorganic compounds such as sugar and amino acids would need to be formed. Second, we have the assembly of these organic molecules into polymers. Then we would need the formation of these polymers that can self-replicate, which would enable inheritance. And then the formation of membranes to package the organic molecules. So these 4 phases are important, and you'll need to learn them. Okay, so first, the organic synthesis. So the initial synthesis of organic compounds required key environmental conditions. A reducing atmosphere, which means no oxygen, and an energy source such as heat or an electrical discharge. And these conditions would have been present in some of the locations on Earth, such as hydrothermal vents, volcanoes, or they may have originated in space. So we can understand that these conditions were required thanks to the Miller-Urey experiment, where steam was passed through a mixture of methane, hydrogen, and ammonia, which was thought to be a representation of the early atmosphere, and electrical discharges were used to simulate lightning. And then it was found that amino acids and other carbon compounds needed for life were produced. So that's how we know the environmental conditions required. So next is the assembly of the compounds into polymers. So the possible site for the origin of the first carbon compounds is around deep sea thermal vents. These cracks in the Earth's surface gush hot water and carry inorganic chemicals such as iron sulfide, and these compounds provide enough energy to assemble the carbon compounds into polymers. And thirdly, we have the formation of polymers that can self-replicate, enabling inheritance. So DNA, though very stable and effective at storing information, is unable to self-replicate as enzymes are needed. But for enzymes to be made, genes are needed. So in the early phase of evolution, RNA could have been the genetic material which was used, as it is able to store information and can also self-replicate and catalyze the formation of copies of itself. And lastly, we have the formation of membranes in order to package the organic molecules. So phospholipids were among the first carbon compounds. Experiments have shown that phospholipids naturally assemble into bilayers, and these bilayers readily form vesicles, reassembling the plasma membrane, which resembles the plasma membrane of a small cell. an isolated internal environment is then created from the formation of these bilayers. Okay, so now that we've looked at spontaneous generation, we'll talk about the endosymbiotic theory. This theory explains the existence of several organelles of eukaryotes. It states that the organelles, such as mitochondria and chloroplasts, originated as symbiosis between separate single-celled organisms. So a mutualistic relationship would have been formed between these single-celled organisms. So the theory stipulates that chloroplasts and mitochondria were once free-living prokaryotes. It is said that mitochondria were once free-living aerobic bacteria, and larger prokaryotes that could only respire anaerobically took them in by endocytosis, and this allowed the smaller prokaryotes to keep living in their cytoplasm. As long as the smaller prokaryotes grew and divided as fast as the larger ones, they could persist indefinitely inside the larger cells, and these smaller cells evolved to become mitochondria. And the theory also explains the existence of chloroplasts, and it says that they were once photosynthetic bacteria which were taken in by a larger cell and were allowed to survive, grow, and divide. And then these cells evolved into chloroplasts or photosynthetic eukaryotes. So the cells were engulfed by larger prokaryotes, as I just mentioned, by endocytosis, but were not digested. So the evidence to support this theory is the fact that mitochondria and chloroplasts contain their own circular DNA, which is naked and circular like bacterial DNA. They have a double membrane, one of their own and one from being engulfed. They have 70S ribosomes, which is the same as for prokaryotic cells. They are also the same size as bacterial cells. They can replicate on their own in a process very similar to binary fission. And chloroplasts are similar in structure to cyanobacteria. And that's it. Please make sure to subscribe, and I hope this video was helpful.